Well, Brian Skerry takes the stage this evening at the Holland Center. He's going to share tales of his underwater adventures where he's spent more than 10,000 hours.
The show is called National Geographic Live's Ocean Soul. The image is so captivating, you can't help but wonder, how did he do it? What was this like?
Brian, good morning. Welcome to Omaha.
To meet
Good
you.
morning. Great to be here.
Yeah,
We were taking a
great to
glimpse
have
of some
you.
of those pictures. Amazing shots, by
Wow,
the way. And we're going to show some more of those. But what can fans expect tonight?
Well, the program that I'll be doing tonight is called Ocean Soul, which is sort of what I call a mid-career retrospective of my work. And it's basically an exploration of the world's oceans with a camera. You know, it's sort of a personal story. I take the audience on assignment with me and introduce them to a fascinating cast of characters and interesting places. But there's also sort of an environmental message as well. You know, there's been somewhat of an evolution in my career. In the beginning, I just wanted to make pretty pictures, but over time, I saw a lot of problems occurring in the world's oceans. So we talk about some of those things as well as solutions, you know, how things can get better.
How often do you dive? And the conditions can't always be ideal, whether it's the temperature or some of the predators in the water with you.
No, that's absolutely true. I typically spend about 8 or 9 months a year traveling in the field for National Geographic, and how many hours a day I'm actually in the water depends on the location. But you're right, it's not always ideal. Quite often I find myself in beautiful places, tropical coral reefs, but a lot of times I'm in polar regions with, you know, 25 feet of ice over my head.
I'd like to talk about some of these pictures as we go through them,
Sure.
because I think some of them deserve an explanation.
Okay.
How about this shot?
Well, this was a picture I did for a story about sharks of the Bahamas. This was a close-up of a Caribbean reef shark in a place off of Nassau, a dive resort that actually gets about 50,000 divers a year to come there. It's the most popular dive resort in the world because they introduce people to sharks. People are very interested in those animals.
What about this?
Well, this was this was a unique moment. This was a story I did on the most endangered species of whale in the world, the right whale. And the North Atlantic right whale, which lives on the east coast of the United States, is the most endangered. And to draw a comparison, I went to the subantarctic of New Zealand to photograph a newly discovered population of southern right whales that we see here. These animals had never seen humans before and were extremely curious about me.
What was it doing right? It looks like it's getting ready
Just
to
hovering.
scratch his back on
Yeah,
the bottom.
probably. Just sort of hovering inches, you know, very gracefully over the sand. This was a whale shark that I photographed in Mexico with a school of baitfish sort of surrounding its head like a wreath in the coastal waters there of Isla Mujeres.
They are art, but it's got to be difficult to capture that perfect shot.
Well, it is. You know, on a normal story these days for the Geographic, I might shoot 60 or 70,000 pictures, and we only publish 10, you know, 10 or 12. So it's a pretty big ratio, and the more time I can spend in the water, the more chances I have of seeing things and getting that one special moment where it all comes together.
So they don't all look like the pictures we saw.
I don't show you the
Do you
bad
have
ones.
some bad images?
That's right. I don't show the bad ones. That's right.
How did you get the job with National Geographic? What were you doing prior?
Well, I was always, you know, a diver and photographer. I started diving when I was about 15 years old and very quickly got interested in photography. I picked up a camera, but it was a long process. You know, you can't just go out and get a job for National Geographic.
Yeah.
So I worked on charter boats. I worked for other magazines. I did assignments for dive magazines and sold stock photos, did some speaking engagements. Eventually, about 17 years ago, got that first assignment, and it's kept me very busy ever since.
I'm amazed at the colors in a lot of your photographs.
Yeah, it's a great observation. You know, I think people don't often think about that there are these stunning colors underwater. Most often the pictures have to be lit. I have to take, you know, lights down with me to bring back those colors. But it is quite stunning underwater.
Which shoots or stories after 3 decades with National Geographic, what stands out to you most?
Great question. You know, I'd have to say that there's a couple that really stand out. There was a story I did, the story on right whales was pretty special because I didn't know what I was going to find in the subantarctic of New Zealand, and these whales truly allowed me into their world. You know, I think it's important to recognize that as an underwater photographer, I don't have the luxury of using very long lenses. I have to get close to my subjects, and they have to let me. I can't swim fast enough to catch a whale or a shark. So these animals have to be curious. And that was one that was really special because those animals had never seen humans before. At the other end of the spectrum, I did a cover story in 2007 about the global fish crisis, the problems of overfishing in the world. And I spent about 2 years making some very difficult pictures, you know, pictures of shark finning and long lines and gill nets and things that most people don't see. But it was an important story because I think it moved the dial a little bit in favor of conservation. So, you know, one was sort of a happy story about animals allowing me into their world. Another was about shedding light on some problems.
Yeah, and you talk about those problems, but how do you hope that your work helps preserve and protect some of the world's oceans?
Well, that's a big part of what I try to do these days. And I think the first step is awareness. You know, I think humans are very visual creatures, and sometimes a single photograph in a newspaper or magazine can get someone's attention. So I think that's the first step. And then, you know, providing good information. I mean, I work with researchers to offer information about these stories that will help people sort of become informed and then maybe change behavior.
Last time I looked, there were still a few tickets available for tonight's talk with Brian. It's at the Holland Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets online. You can pick your seats with ease at ticketomaha.com. Thank you for coming in. It's great to have you back in Omaha.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Great to be here.
Yeah,
really
thanks
is.
for sharing those pictures with us.
My pleasure.
Incredible
Thank you.
pictures.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
Ever missed the show? Remember, you can catch it online. That's especially valuable when our guests bring special offers exclusive to Blend viewers. Connect at your convenience at OmahaMorningBlend.com.
All right, still ahead, the women behind an app that I have right here on my phone. It's opening as we speak, and we're going to talk to them about why they developed it.
First, why some birds won't use birdhouses. What you can do, though, for the birds that will. That's next.